गिरिधारी शिष्य राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatarishitashmar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatarishitashmar Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatarishitashmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gaurkishwadas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Anuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhattadasa Raghunath Shard Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namachay Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandal Gaura Mandal Vraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradatta Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Jai Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda Tattva Ki Jai. These articles by Param Gurudev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Gaudiya Patrika Ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Hare Krishna. We'll do Mangalacharan and then begin. Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Narayanitti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Keśava Bhinna Rupine Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Pragya Bhakti Keśava Bhinna Rupine Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Vamaniti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Ācārya Singharupine Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava iti namine. Attimartya Charitraya Swashritanang Chapaline Jiva Dukhe Sadartaya Shinama Prema Dayane Gaurashraya Vigrahaya Krishna Kamaikacharine Rupanuga Pravaraya Vinodeti Swarupine Prabhupadantarangaya Sarvas Sargunashaline Mayavara Tamoghnaya Vedantartha Vide Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shivarshabhanavi Devi Daitai Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha. Madhuryojvala Madhuryojvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaurkishoraya Shakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambhode Padambu Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Gauravirbhava Bhumestang Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannataya Te Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindayai Tulsi Devai Priyayai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranams, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji. Oh, Manas Goswami is there. Hari Bol, Manas. Nitai Mukeshji, Srivas Prabhu, and let's see on YouTube and Facebook. Hari Priya Didi, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, I'm guessing Indira Mataji and Raseshwari Mataji and a few other devotees. Dandavat Pranams. So we are, and pranams to all the devotees watching in the future. Haribol. So we are continuing our reading of Acintya-bhedābheda, refutation to this book by Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda, Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda. Today is probably going to be like, well, I don't know yet, actually. Shivas can let us know, but I think today we're not going to have a time limit on the reading. And so if somebody doesn't have like a ton of time in their day, you don't need to worry about missing anything if you want to follow along this program, because it's all being streamed on YouTube. So you can watch as much as you have time for now, and then continue watching the rest later on Srivasa's YouTube channel or my YouTube channel, either on Big Drum on YouTube or Madhukar Das on YouTube. So yeah, I'll just hand it over to Srivas now. I'm not very good at doing recaps, but yeah.
Recaps, okay. Yes, so yesterday we read the introduction, the Mangalacharan. Param Gurudeva's very unique Mangalacharan. And then he talked a bit about the history of Sundarananda, Ananta Vasudeva, and Haridas Babaji, and a bit about the interpolations that he suspected them of, and that they had some far-off design or aim in the future. And then we started to get into the discussion about Mangalacharan. Param Gurudev was talking about the importance of Mangalacharan, how the author should do a Mangalacharan, any commentator should do a Mangalacharan of any book. And Param Gurudev was giving examples from all the Vedas, all the Puranas, all the Upanishads, even the sutras. There's different, like Vedanta Sutra, there's different books of aphorisms or axioms. And even the Sutrakars do their Mangalacharan with the word Atha, usually. And he also gave example from Kapila. And that's where we left off. We were just talking about the example of Kapila. And so next we'll be continuing with that. And then we'll get into a nice discussion about Jiva Gosvāmī and Baladev Vidyabhushan, because Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda tried to establish that there was a difference between them, and that Jiva Gosvāmī was not following Madhva Acārya. All right, so share my screen. Okay, so here we are. My screen sharing is paused. What's going on? Can you guys see?
I can see the screen. Are you doing stuff on the screen though? Because I just see one fixed thing.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, now it's good.
Okay. So Śrīmad Bhagavatam on Shishtachar. So the Shishtachar that Param Gurudev is referring to is the performance of Mangalacharan. So he's discussed other examples. So now he's saying...
Oh, wait, sorry, I sorry to cut you off, but why is Param Gurudev, like, if you could just let everybody know why Param Gurudev's getting into, like, mentioning so much about Mangalacharans right now? Is it because in Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda's Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda, there's no Mangalacharan, right?
Yeah,
And
there's
and and Param Gurudev's showing kind of how Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda is going towards like the Sahajya path. Or could you explain that a little bit? Like,
yeah, so it's he also, Param Gurudev also drew an example from this Dayananda Saraswati, who was another example of somebody who kind of disregarded this tradition. Like, so all throughout the Vedic teachings and the Vedas themselves and any Veda-derived text, this tradition of performing a Mangalacharan has been kept very, very keenly. The only people who haven't kept that, people like this Swami Dayananda, and who is very much Advaitavadi, Mayavadi. Param Gurudev refers to him as a total atheist. And so Param Gurudev is making the point that Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda is trying to establish that Bhagavatam is an Advaitavadi scripture. And so Param Gurudev is showing that he's also following those Advaitavadi habits or mentality, thinking, oh, I don't need to pray for any auspiciousness. I don't need to, right? If I am Brahm, why do I need to pray for anyone else's blessings? So he's kind of pointing that out. So now we're going to Bhagavatam, the discussion of Bhagavatam itself, and the example of Bhagavatam. So putting aside all other views, we are bound to accept the decrees of Śrīmad Bhagavatam with bowed heads. Sri Krishna Dvaipayan Vyasadeva himself has demonstrated proper etiquette by performing his Mangalacharan in Vedanta Sutra by the word Atha, and in Śrīmad Bhagavatam by the verse Janmadhyasya. He demonstrates the etiquette himself and is not remiss in putting clear injunctions on the topic into written word. We see in the first canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, 4th verse, Narayanam namaskritya naran chaiva narottamam devyam saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. In other words, the presiding deity of this scripture is Narayan, the Supreme Person, and the incarnation of Bhagavan is known as Nararishi. After offering obeisance to them, as well as to the goddess of divine knowledge, Saraswati, and the sage Vyasadeva, one is to recite this sacred text that allows one to conquer samsara. And then he puts the reference there as the Bhagavatam, that was published by Ananta Vasudeva. The aforementioned shlok ordains obeisance to one's worshipful deities before doing anything else. After thus glorifying them in order to conquer this nescient existence, one may compose instructive text, etc. In this context, we are quoting Śrīyūta Swami's commentary. Jayatyanena samsaram iti jayo vrantastamudirayat iti swayam tato dirayan anyanapi pauranikan upashikshyati. Vyasadeva himself, in order to compose the sacred text of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, which enables the conditioned souls to conquer samsara, has demonstrated the tradition of offering obeisance to one's worshipful deity. Not only that, but anyanapi pauranikan upashikshyati. In other words, we understand from this statement of Śrīyūta Swami that Vyasadeva did this so that other authorities of the Puranas would offer their respects to the Supreme Lord and compose other similar literatures that may be referred to by the word Jaya, victory. Even so, it's actually a tradition of encouraging people to write and commentate. Even though Śrīyūta Swami Pad is not a predecessor Ācārya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and there are significant differences between his conceptions and those of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, everyone has shown him tremendous respect as being the original commentator on Śrīmad Bhagavatam, in one sense, among all the other commonly read Bhagavat commentators. In his Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda, Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja has invested considerable effort into trying to prove that Śrīmad Mahaprabhu was a follower of Śrīyūta Swami Pad's lineage. That is precisely why I have been compelled to quote Śrīyūta Swami Pad's statement here and expose Sahababu's unwillingness to observe proper etiquette in this regard. If we understand from the...
Just for those who don't remember, Sahababu is Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda's name before he, right? That was his name before he got, before Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada changed it, yeah.
And Param Gurudev prefers to call him by that because he's severed all connection with Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur. Okay, let's go. If we understand from the aforementioned verse's statement, Tato Jayam Udirayat, that after offering our obeisance, we are to utter the word Jaya, then we can see that Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata has not been used in Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja's title in a way that follows in Śrīyūta Swami Pad's footsteps. And since we know the word Jaya refers to all samsara conquering scriptures, we can understand that the book Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda has not been written for the purpose of conquering samsara. It is relevant in this context to inform the readers of a certain aspect of Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja's nature. In the various books he has written, he has advocated a number of conflicting conclusions and self-contradictory ideas. And if you ask him in person why he has written all these perplexing statements, he responds, "I am not the operator, just an instrument." So by his own admission, he is like a paid employee. and does not have a problem with publishing completely conflicting views according to the wishes of whoever he is subservient to at any given time. We will lay bare this habit of his as we proceed to critique his book in these articles. For now, our question is, who is the actual operator behind this Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda book? Has this figure behind the curtain not been able to conquer samsara and instead relinquished his Sri Gurudev and sannyas to become a degraded sort of householder? And is Vidyāvinod Mahārāja becoming a vantashi as well and spending his whole life in the grihastha ashram? If so, then how will his writings comprise a book that can help people cross over samsara? Instead, it will be a tome that fosters states of eternal, frog-like entrapment in the well of material existence. And this is also drawing from a Upakinupadesh story where the frog thinks it's so great. It's the master of the whole pond. Vidyāvinod Mahārāja's book has not upheld the purport of Śrīyūta Sundarānanda's statement, Samsaramiti Jayo Granthamudirayat, nor can it. The word Jaya, the Jaya word spoken in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, was referring to books that are full of powerful instructions that afford one the ability to conquer this nescient state of existence. And the word Udirayat refers to the recitation of such texts, as well as to their composition or compilation. Therefore, this Jaya refers to all the teachings imparted by the authors of scripture and the various Puranic authorities. Swamipad's, Srila Swamipad's mention of Anyanapi is in reference to anyone else who may write instructive texts. Therefore, it follows that everyone is expected to observe the procedural etiquettes of such writing as prescribed in Shastra. This is the purport of Srila Swamipad's commentary. In his commentary to the aforementioned verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, following the lead of previous Ācārya commentators of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, has provided another very clear instruction to the readers of Granthas. Gurum Natta Devatādin Pranamati Narayanam iti. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's instruction is this: first, one must offer obeisance to Gurudev, and then one can offer obeisance to one's Upasya Tattva, whichever form of Bhagavan one chooses to worship. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, there is no need to give any separate introduction to who Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is. He is a Mahapotyay scholar in all scriptures. Whether you look at his Vaishnava qualities or at his role as a protector of the Sampradaya, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's name commands distinction in every respect. Vidyāvinod Mahārāja's neglect of this Gurunatva instruction of Srila Chakravarti Thakur gives us further reason not to accept his book as any sort of helpful saintly text. To sum up, we have seen that even Sri Vyasadeva himself does not transgress the standard established in Sankhya. We discussed this yesterday, the Sankhya Sutras, the original 22 sutras of the Sankhya Shastra, which are believed to be uttered or composed by Kapiladeva himself, the son of Devahuti. So that, and it begins with this Mangalacharanam Shishtacharat. He has demonstrated that etiquette himself in Śrīmad Bhagavatam and put into writing the rules for Mangalacharan. If one neglects this standard, no matter what task one sets about, no good will come of it. Vinod Mahārāja has included Mangalacharans in all the other books he has done. But with this Vāda book of his, this Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda, it is as if the gods or fate itself knew he would be publishing conclusions opposed to pure Vaishnava philosophy, and so he was somehow deterred from following the proper etiquette. Because the other two books also, they had Mangalacharans. This one, for some reason, didn't. We will demonstrate in detail how his book has managed to be opposed to Siddhanta, opposed to Guru and Vaishnavas, contradictory to history, contradictory to proper presentation of evidence, antithetical to proper conduct, antithetical to civility, antithetical to purity, at odds with Gaudiya thought, inimical to the Gosvāmīs, inimical to Sri Chaitanya, contrary to the Sampradaya, opposed to Śrīnam, and opposed to everything else of the like. Very harsh review. Okay. So, this is the 4th chapter. There's only 5 chapters. The 5th is the longest. And this 4th chapter is one of the most interesting, and gets into Srila Jiva Goswami's writings, analyzes them, and establishes his connection to the line of Madhvacharya. So any fans of Srila Jiva Goswami will be interested in this. Srila Jiva Goswami's adherence to the line of Madhva in his Mangalacharan. The authors of granthas and commentators on such works provide some indication of their intentions and the subject of their granthas via their Mangalacharans. Because Vidyāvinod Mahārāja has not done a Mangalacharan for this book, we can find no clear declaration of its subject. He has not been able to establish Acintya-bhedābheda with the Vāda, or theory, he has posited in the very title of his book, Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda. Mostly he has gone to great effort to establish that Srimad Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya is an Advaitavadi lineage and not the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. In the 13th prasanga of this, okay, what's this? It's a footnote here, really long footnote. Okay, so this is about the, okay, we'll get to that. So where was this? Okay, yeah, we need to read this. So the main arguments, these footnotes were included in Param Gurudev's articles. So the main arguments in this connection, that Mahaprabhu's lineage is Sampradaya is actually an Advaitavadi lineage. The main arguments in this connection against the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya's inclusion in the Madhva Sampradaya are laid out as follows. There are numerous references in Śrīmad. So this is how properly somebody should present an argument. Present the Purva Paksha first. Present, what are the counter arguments, and then present their side. There are numerous references in Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 8, 45, 123, Antya 7, 16, and Śrī Caitanya Chandrodaya Natak that tell us Śrī Krishna Chaitanya Dev was a sannyasi of the Kevala Dvaita Sampradaya, and the guru of Śrī Caitanya Dev's sannyas pastime, Śrī Keśava Bharati, was also a Kevala Dvaitavadi. Besides Śrī Krishna Chaitanya Dev referring to himself as a Mayavadi sannyasi, the sannyasi guru of the Mayavadis in Kashi, Prakashananda, addresses Śrī Krishna Chaitanya Dev saying, Keśava Bharati Shishya Tahe Tumi Dhanya. You are blessed to be the disciple of Keśava Bharati. Sampradayika sannyasi Tumi Raha E Grame. You are a sannyasi of a recognized lineage. You should stay in this village. Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, after first having Sri Krishna Chaitanya Dev's darshan in Puri, said, Bharati Sampradaya E Hayana Madhyam. This Bharati lineage is second class. Nirantara yake Vedanta Shrinayevo Vairagya Daita Marge Pravesha Karayevo Kahena Jadi Punarapi Yoga Pattadiya Sanskara Kariya Uttama Sampradaya Aniyaya. I will recite Vedanta to him ceaselessly and help him enter the path of renunciation and monism. If he wants, I will perform his sannyas ceremony again and transfer him into the highest order of sannyas. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was quite confident. In Puri, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Dev referred to Sri Brahmananda Bharati like a guru. And when he saw Bharati wearing a deerskin like the Mayavadi sannyasis, he asked, Bharati Gosai Keni Parivenacham. Why would Bharati Gosai wear deerskin? There are also the statements of Sri Brahmananda Bharati himself. I'm going to read the Bengali. From birth, I engaged in meditation on the formless Brahman. Seeing you, however, Krishna appeared to me. Krishna's name appeared in my mouth, and his form before my mind and eyes. Seeing you to be just like him, my heart is thirsting to serve you. I have become just like Bilvamangal. Although revered by monists and initiated to sit upon the throne of self-bliss, I have somehow been made a maidservant of a cunning boy who jokes with the gopis. It is clear from these statements that Sri Keśava Bharati, Sri Brahmananda Bharati, and Sri Krishna Chaitanya Dev all manifested pastimes of accepting sannyas in the Kevala-Dvaitavadi lineage. So this is a direct quotation from Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda's Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda book. So now Param Gurudev writes, the author of these articles, Param Gurudev writes, if we follow Vidyāvinod Mahāshaya's reasoning that Mahaprabhu became part of the Kevala-Dvaitavadi lineage because he took sannyas from the Advaitavadi Keśava Bharati, we can mention that Madhvacharya himself also took sannyas at the age of 12 from the Kevala-Dvaitavadi Chittapreksha. And as we were talking about the other day, in regard to Mani Manjari, that was a very long, drawn-out, covert operation by the Madhva Sampradaya. So it wasn't actually a Kevala-Dvaitavadi lineage. In that case, you would have to say that Sri Madhva is also part of the Kevala-Dvaitavadi Sampradaya. So what then is stopping Mahaprabhu from also being part of the Madhva Sampradaya? Since both were part of Shankar's Advaitavadi lineage, externally. On the other hand, it would not be an overstatement to say that since Sri Madhvacharya adopted an Ekadanda as per the Shankar lineage traditions, Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya Dev, Krishna Chaitanya Dev, followed in Sri Madhva's footsteps and accepted Ekadanda sannyas from Keśava Bharati. This serves only to bolster and confirm the fact that Gaudiya Vaishnavas are following in the guidance of Madhvacharya. In the 13th prasanga, or chapter, of this Vāda text, on page 239, Vidyāvinod has brought up this topic in a most shameless and audacious manner. I am quoting a few portions of that here with the aim of demolishing his most ignoble intentions. So, there are more arguments against the Sri Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya's inclusion in the Madhva Sampradaya. 1. There are 6 categories of differences between the Madhva Sampradaya and the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Sadhya, Sadhan, Shastra, Ishta, Bhashya, and Vad. And then Param Gurudev writes, we will demonstrate with evidence that in each of these categories there is no difference between the two sampradayas. So these essays of Param Gurudev are very systematic, addresses each and every point, and presents all of Sundarānanda Vidyāvinod's arguments with references, and points out how Sundarānanda Vidyāvinod does not give proper references, conceals references, twists, the references that he uses. So 1b, how can Sri Krishna Chaitanya Dev, who is the Lord and Master of the founders of the 4 sampradayas, become subservient to one of them? So this is another argument that's used commonly, also used by the Shravananda Mandir. So Param Gurudev again says, we will lay out the refutation to this argument as well later on. He's assuring us that, we're going to address all of these things. Sri Mahaprabhu cannot refute the Madhva doctrine and then be part of that lineage. This is Sundarānanda Vidyāvinod. Therefore, because there was some argument, or it's recorded in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that he debated with the Tattvavadis in Udupi and defeated them. So Sundarānanda Vidyāvinod is trying to say, Sri Mahaprabhu cannot first refute the Madhva doctrine and then also be a part of that lineage. Therefore, the Sri Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya cannot be called the Sri Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. It is an independent Sampradaya founded by Sri Gaurachandra. Vidyāvinod Mahāsaya has cited as proof for the above section an official Sanskrit Vyavasthapatra manifesto circulated by Radha Krishna Basu Mahāsaya, the Adhyaksh, overseer of Katak's Rasbihari Math, in issue 9/4 of their 1926 Virbhum Patrika. Vidyāvinod Mahāsaya's text often quotes evidence of this caliber. One of the main hubs of the Prakrita Sahajyas in Orissa is this Rasbihari Math. How can the dogma of its overseer, Radha Krishna Basu, be accepted as proper praman. It looks rather shameful to us to have to establish a conclusion based on the word of someone of lesser reputability in order to shore up one's own fallacious doctrine. There is a proverb in English: a drowning man catches that straw. Param Gurudev has a few of these English proverbs written or included in English in his Bengali articles. In Radha Krishna Basu Mahashaya's Sanskrit document, if Radha Krishna Mahashaya's Sanskrit document is so authoritative and the object of Vidyāvinod Mahashaya's adoration, what objection can there be to the Vivesta Patra of Shri Gaur Govindananda Bhagavat Swami, founder of Navadvip Dham Sri Guru Ashram, a personality who is a much more revered and renowned Tyagi sannyasi and a widely acclaimed scholar? When all the Vaishnavas of Navadvip requested this Swamiji to present a refined analysis as refutation of the Vivesta Patra circulated by the Kathak Rasbihari Mutt, said Swamiji composed and circulated the following Vivesta Patra, which establishes that the root of Srimad Mahaprabhu's Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is Śrīmad Acārya. And that, I want to put to that thing, and that is where the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya has originated. The Vyavesta Patra document written in Sanskrit shloka format is quoted here with the translation. So this is an interesting piece of evidence that devotees can use if people challenge. It's not just our narrow Gaudiya Math ISKCON group that believe this. There's other Gaudiya Vaishnavas within the larger Gaudiya Vaishnava family who are very dedicated to this idea of our connection to the Madhva Sampradaya. I'm just going to read the English translations to this. According to those who are authorities on the various sampradayas, spiritual lineages, one's connection to a particular sampradaya is established by the acceptance of Diksha Mantra from a guru who is part of a bona fide disciplic succession in that line. The traditionalists, sampradayis, who are of refined perspective, assert that the path taught by the Ācārya, who is a bona fide heir to a Shishta Parampara, properly taught disciplic succession, is called a sampradaya. Accepting the evidence of the Vedas is Shishtatva, discipline, and all the Vedas convey the supreme knowledge of Vishnu. Therefore, only Vaishnavas who are intent on the worship of Vishnu are referred to as Shishta. Those who do not maintain the sanctity of Vaishnava Parampara cannot authenticate their status as Vaishnavas, because there are severe spiritual risks associated with hearing mantra from those who are not genuine Vaishnavas. That is why he who is the author of the Vedas, Gaurhari, from whose breath the Vedas have emanated, wanted to maintain the Shishta taught disciplic succession and therefore accept the Madhva lineage. As Guru of the whole world, Srimad Gaurangadev chose Ishwarapuri as his Guru and accepted a sampradaya in order to teach the people of the world to do the same. Even though Srimad Gaurangadev refuted some specific concepts of the Tattvavadis who were following the Madhva doctrine, how does that affect his position in the sampradaya? In other words, having a philosophical difference with members of one sampradaya does not abolish one's position in the sampradaya. This is a very important point. That our tradition actually encourages having Matavaishishya, and there's a big difference between Matavaishishya and Matavhed. Means having a speciality or a unique perspective on something. Param Gurudev had a unique perspective on certain topics that conflicted with his own senior or his own godbrothers, and that is okay. You know, that is that does not put him in a different light. If Gurudev says something that sounds different from what Srila Prabhupada said, that does not make him a completely different line, or as ISKCON tried to say, oh, he's a Sahajya, because he's speaking something maybe, oh, perhaps we didn't hear from Srila Prabhupada. There's all this like black and white, this tendency to try and separate and divide everything. So, even if members of the same sampradaya have some disagreement, that does not divide the sampradaya. All that happens is different branches form. Even though the Ramanandis have their own unique ideas, they are included among the Ramanujis. And in the Nimbarka Sampradaya, even though Harivyas, Harivyas, and others have some philosophical differences, they are considered part of the Nimbarka Sampradaya. In the same way, both the Gaudiya Sampradaya and the Tattvavadis are adherents of the Madhva Mat, or Madhva's philosophy. Scholars cognizant of Tattva do not see any reason for this not to be so. But as per the Nyaya of Tushyat Durjanam, if it pleases the wicked to accept distinctions between the sampradayas based on the sadhya, adi, the ultimate goals, etc., of the various practitioners, then too there is no significant difference between the mata of Gauda and Madhva. The mukti that is talked about in Madhva's doctrine as the ultimate sadhya has been explained by commentators to refer strictly to the interpretation of mukti as Vishnu Padalabh, obtaining the feet of Vishnu. Though Madhva accepted that for certain jivas, according to their eligibility, offering the fruits of their karma can be a form of sadhana, he has praised the superiority of bhakti in many places. The idea that in Madhva's mat only the praman of Mahārāja is accepted is a lie, because he accepted 3 forms of praman, naming Shabda praman as the main source of evidence. So this manifesto summarizes some of the key arguments, I'd say dirty arguments that are out there, because they're not accurate. How does one come to decide that the Ishtadev of someone who has established the service of Śrīmad Nritya Gopal, the dancing coward boy, is actually Dwarakapati Sri Krishna? Yeah, so this is absurd. When people say that Madhvacharya has no connection to Braj, it's actually quite absurd. His Ishtadev is literally Gopal. And even if the Lord of Dwarka is proven to be his Ishtadev, what is the harm in that? Nandanandan Sri Krishna is Dwarakapati. In other words, these 2 forms of Krishna are non-different. Both Swarups are one, and both are Krishna. Depending on the sense of self that Krishna is, so that's the only difference between Nandanandan and Dwarkadesh, is Krishna's own Leela Abhiman. Sometimes he is Puranatam, and sometimes Puranatar, fullest and more full. That is all. There's no differentiation present in his actual Swarup. The philosophy of oneness and difference, Bhedābhed, that is dubbed Acintya, inconceivable, is extolled by those familiar with Sri Chaitanya's mat. Indications of the same concept are found in Madhva's mat. Because the jivas are different from Brahma in certain ways, the jivas have been referred to as the guna angsha of Brahma, meaning that they are not different from Brahma. And though there are some qualitative differences between them, because their essence is spiritual, they are non-different as angshas or expansions. This is because that which is pervaded by something else is functionally dependent on that thing. Okay, some mistake there. Look at that. And it's simply non-different from it. This is why both the Goswāmīs and followers of Madhva see the uniformity of the individual soul and Brahma in similar ways. The Goswāmīs have extolled Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda, the idea of inconceivable oneness and difference between its energy and its possessor. And this is a concept that has arisen by the grace of Gaura. This is simply the finesse of his reasoning. In reality, he has deemed a form of karanavad, causality, to be of primary significance in determining tattva. As the abode of Parashakti, supreme energy, Brahma is the efficient cause. And as the embodiment of the jivas and the material energy of Maya, Brahma is also the immediate material cause. It also encompasses the energy of Brahma, also encompasses, it generates also the Bahiranga and Tatastha Shaktis. There's similarity between the doctrines of the Gaudiyas and the Madhvas in regard to this sort of theory of causality as well. And if Sri Govinda Bhashya is accepted as an authoritative source of evidence, then one can find these essential concepts collected in Pramaya Ratnavali. There, in a single verse, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan commences with Sri Madhva Praha, thus spake Sri Madhva, and concludes with Hari Krishna Chaitanya Chandra, having explained that the philosophy of Madhva is the philosophy of Gaura. If someone is to neglect this conclusion, then they have succumbed to the fallacy of Ardha Kukuti Nyaya, or half a chicken. Which half do you want? You want only the half that lays the eggs, not the half that you have to feed? In other words, to accept one fact but not another is concomitant, not another concomitant one, is half a chicken logic. This sort of philosophy is antithetical to the reasoning of Shastra. The points presented in the above 24 verses are worthy of careful contemplation in a preliminary discussion about the Gaudiya's inclusion in Madhva Sampradaya. So Param Gurudev, he presents here in these articles, you know, a basic, if you're having a basic discussion in this sort of debate, you can refer to that manifesto. There's 24 verses, very clear points, and you know, so that's for any basic discussion or debate about this topic. But if you want more in-depth arguments, looking at Jiva Goswami's own writings and various other arguments, you can read further in this series. So
And
the
those 24 verses was written by, what is it, Gaur Govindananda Bhagavat Swami from Sri Guru Ashram in Navadvip, right?
Yeah.
That was...
Have you seen this Sri Guru Ashram? I'm not familiar with. I'm curious to see who they are. The reputed Haridas Das Mahashaya Sri Gaudiya Vaishnava Sahitya, which was published in 2 parts at about 500 pages, and furnishes the contents of Vidyāvinoda Mahashaya's pages, quotes the above-mentioned verses in the context of describing Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan's Pramaya Ratnavali. Haridas Das has accepted the critical analysis of Sri Gauragovindananda Bhagavat Swami's Mimamsa Patra as Praman, and Vidyāvinoda Mahashaya cites evidence from this same book of Haridas Das and uses it in various places in his Vad book. So this is where Param Gurudev starts pointing out several inconsistencies.
What's the Mimamsa Patra? Like what you just read was the Vyavastha Patra, right? And then the Mimamsa.
But it's also referred to as a Mimamsa Patra.
Okay, it's the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. I should clarify that. Yeah, so he uses it in various places. Even though Haridas Babaji Mahashaya's writings contribute to Sundarananda's works, in the first Kanda of Shri Shri Gaudiya Vaishnava Sahitya, page 112, he writes a short article titled, Why Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda is part of Śrīmad's philosophy. So even among these 3 that Param Gurudev talked about, this Haridas Das seems to be more favorable to our connection to the Madhva Sampradaya. There, he contradicts Vidyāvinoda Mahashaya and has adhered to the conceptions of Sri Baladev. So it's interesting. Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda veered even further off from someone Param Gurudev considers a full-blown Sahajiya. He went even further than, this Haridas Das has respect for Baladev Vidyabhushan, and agrees with us being part of the Madhva Sampradaya. Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja himself wrote a book called Vaishnavacharya Śrīmad. Yeah, this is another thing. It's actually a wonderful book, really beautiful book. Supati Ranjan Nag, M.A. B.L. Mahārāja, has published this book on February 8th, 1939, from Purana Paltam, Yo Ramana Daka. This is after the disappearance of Saraswati Thakur, but before further deviation. The book is written on the premise that Srimad Mahaprabhu was part of Srila Madhvacharya's Sampradaya. Vidyāvinoda's current Vāda book attempts a total refutation of this Vaishnavacharya Śrīmad book. So Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda is actually writing a refutation of his own work. I will lay out the various contradictory conclusions in these two books and demonstrate how fully deluded Vidyāvinoda is, how his intellect appears to have become partially malformed. No conclusion or conception stemming from the writings of such a bewildered, deluded person is even slightly acceptable for educated society. If the Indian legal system had the right sort of law in place for punishment of such crimes, then he could be brought before a court of justice and efforts could be made to reform him. In fact, I am calling on the special insights of expert logicians and legislators to help in this matter. So Param Gurudev wanted to take Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda to court for twisting and deluding and corrupting and just being like a disingenuous writer, basically. Shri Jiva's loyalty to Sri Madhva in Tattva Sandarbha. I wonder what Param Gurudev would have to say about the fake news debate, be in favor of legislation against that. In Srila Jiva Gosvāmī Pad's Shat Sandarbha, the Tattva Sandarbha is the first. Though he delivers a Mangalacharan in each Sandarbha, in the Mangalacharan to Tattva Sandarbha, he outlines the subject of the whole body of work. What is to be discussed here is how Srila Jiva Pad has demonstrated his loyalty to the Madhva Sampradaya. In the 13th section of his Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda, page 241, fourth Anuched, Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja brings up 5 arguments, which are there. So this is like A, B, C, D, E in English. Ka, Ka, Ga, Ga, Na. And wants to claim that the crown jewel of Gaudiya Vaishnavacharya, Srila Jivapad, does not acknowledge any sort of connection between the Madhva Sampradaya and the Gaudiya Sampradaya in his Mangalacharan to Tattva Sandarbha. Furthermore, he tries to establish that Srila Baladev Prabhu, Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu, has forced the mention of Madhva in his Sampradaya in his commentary to Tattva Sandarbha. Of those points, first we will discuss ka and ka here. Ka. The difference between Sri Sri Jivapad's invocation in the Mangalacharan to the Tattva Sandarbha and Baladev's invocation. This is a question. Do you think it's better to have A, B, C, D, E?
I do. I think it might be confusing for people who aren't familiar that there's an like with the alphabet.
Right. So the first, so these are, I think, yeah. So these are about Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda's points, that there's a difference between Jiva Goswami's Mangalacharan to Sampradaya to Tattva Sandarbha and Baladev Vidyabhushan's. Second point, the difference between Sri Jivapad's and Sri Baladev's interpretations of the word Vriddha Vaishnava in Tattva Sandarbha. This is a big topic that comes up. Why he referred to Madhvacharya as Vriddha Vaishnava. It is very surprising that Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja has sought and extracted a difference between Sri Jivapad's invocation and that of Srila Baladev. First of all, we need to discuss what he means by difference. He keeps belting out non-dual Advaitavadi words like Advaita, Abhedata, Advitiyata, etc. everywhere. So it is no meager feat that he has managed to extract this disparity despite being so absorbed in non-duality. This is Param Gurudev being a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Especially since he is not even willing to accept that the jiva and prakriti are different tattvas. Though paratattva, the absolute truth, is one undivided substance, the notion of jiva tattva and prakriti tattva having their own existence within that whole is perfectly in alignment with all shastras. But Vidyāvinoda does not even want to give jiva and prakriti the titles, the individual titles of tattva. This alone is a matter of great wonder. Do none of the concepts presented by Srila Jiva Gosvāmī and others enter the caverns of his ears? In his introduction to his Vāda book, he prints the following in bold on page 5. If we give Jiva and Prakriti the title of Tattva, like various Vaishnavacharyas have done, then we have to accept more than one Tattva, which infringes on the concept of Advaita. On page 9 of his introduction, he writes, Vastu or Tattva is not dual. As he concludes his 14th chapter on page 271, he writes, Tattva is one, not two. On the same page, he reiterates his previous point. If we refer to the jiva and prakriti as tattvas, this infringes on the concept of non-duality. In this way, in various places, he has accepted the oneness of Vastu in the Advaitavadi fashion, while rejecting the notion that jiva and prakriti can be separate tattvas. Given this obsession with oneness, it is difficult to understand how he has discovered a disparity between Srila Jivapad's Vandana in the Mangalacharan Tattva Sandarbha and Srila Baladeva Vibhushan Prabhu's on Vandana. Where is the difference he sees? Is it in their use of language? Is it the difference in typesetting or font size? Or is it that Srila Jivapad writes 8 verses for his Vandana and Tattva Sandarbha, while Srila Baladeva Prabhu has commenced his commentary on Tattva Sandarbha with a Vandana of just 6? Or does he actually mean there is a difference of opinion between these acharyas who are both Parshada Bhaktas, devotees who are direct associates of Bhagavan? We cannot see any difference between Jivapad and Vidyabhushan Prabhu in any area. Manimaya mandira madhye pipilika pashyati chidram. An ant will see the crack in a temple wrought of jewels. The ant will find the crack. This claim Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja makes simply highlights his own shortcomings. Though the vulture flies high, it only seeks low-lying, foul-smelling corpses that are rotting. God forbid any sophist, basically a sophist is like a tarki, someone who uses logic and arguments in a kind of, doesn't argue in good faith, basically. God forbid any sophist uses this analogy to assert the existence of cracks in the temple of Sri Baladev's thought and the presence of something spoiled or decayed in his exalted life. We cannot find the slightest disparity between the Vandana of Srila Jivapad and that of Srila Baladev in their respective Mangalacharans to Tattva Sandarbha. If Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja would kindly provide some example of the disparity he refers to, then we could discuss that in detail. So it's also like Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda made such a claim without properly establishing it. I hope he reads this refutation of ours and backs up his claim with proper citation of the disparity between these two supremely liberated acharyas, specifying what kind of disparity it is that he sees and providing an example of what he sees. To just say there is a difference between them will not fly. Those who have studied Tattva Sandarbha will not take his incongruous statement to be the word of Veda. Below, I lay out several verses from the aforementioned Vandanas side by side. Readers will be able to understand that there are no differences between Sri Baladeva and Sri Jivapad's prayers. 1. Srila Jivapad begins his Tattva Sandarbha with the words Shri Krishna Jayati. All glory is to Shri Krishna. This is how he commences his Sandarbha corpus. And the one and only commentator on this work, Sri Śrīmad Baladeva Prabhupada, has also borrowed that phrase, Shri Krishna Jayati, at the very beginning of his Tika commentary. So, in these two places at least, there is surely no difference. 2. Srila Jivapad quotes Śrīmad Bhagavatam in the first verse of his Mangalacharan. Krishna Varanam Tuja Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagye Sankirtanam Prayar Yajanti Hisu Nedasam. And in the second verse of his Mangalacharan, he clearly explains the meaning of this citation. In other words, Srila Jiva Gosvāmī has demonstrated proper etiquette by delineating the object of his worship, which is Srimad Mahaprabhu, along with his expansions and plenary portions, via the Krishna Varanam Tuja Krishnam verse. In the very first verse of his Mangalacharan, Srila Baladevi Prabhu has followed closely in Srila Jivapad's footsteps and prayed for divine love for Srimad Mahaprabhu, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, and his expansions, the Prabhu's Nityananda Advaita. So this is Baladevi Devotion's from Baladevi Devotion's Mangalacharan. Bhaktya bhashena pitosham dadhane dharmadyakshe vishwanistari namni Nityananda Advaita Chaitanya Rupe Tatte Tasmin Tim Astam Vratirnaha. Hence, we have not been able to understand what difference there is between Jiva Goswami's Mangalacharan and Sri Baladevi devotions. Rather, the current of mood, bhavdhara, flowing through both vandanas is one and the same. 3. What Baladev has written in his commentary on both of these verses of Sri Jivapad's invocation shows full loyalty in every respect to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. What Baladev's Tika expresses is fully in line with what has been revealed by Srila Jivapad in Kram Sundarabha, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti in Sarartha Darshini. What Baladev has written even expresses nuances that were not fully developed or expressed by said previous acharyas. In his explanation of Sangopangastra Parshadam, Baladev writes, Ange Nityananda Daitu Upangani Shivasadaya Astranya Vidyat Chetritad Bhagavan Namani Parshada Gadadhara Govindadayas Dai Sahitam Iti Mahabalittam Vyajyate. What Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has written in explanation of the verse under discussion, Krishna Varanam, is, without alteration, what Baladevi devotion expresses in his commentary. Srila Kaviraj Goswami's statements are especially worth perusal. Ācārya Gosai Chaitanya Mukhya Anga Arik Angatar Prabhu Nityananda Prabhu Rupanga Shiva Sadi Bhaktagan Hastamaka Nitra Anga Chakrat Astra Sama Advaita Nityananda Chaitanya Radui Anga Angira Avyavagana Kahiye Upanga Angopanga Tikshna Astra Prabhura Sahite Sava Astra Hai Pashanda Dalite Shivasadi Parishad Senya Sangalaya Dui Senapati Pulena Kirtana Karyan. Again, what difference is there between Baladev and Sri Jiva Goswami and other acharyas like Kaviraj Goswami? So I never included the translations. I'm going to put those in there. But it's basically just talking about the definitions of Upanga and Anga and Astra. Again, what difference is there between Baladev and Sri Jiva Goswami and other acharyas like Sri Kaviraj Goswami? 4. Srila Jivapad, in the third verse of his Vandana, so and Paramgiri provides it here, sings the praises of Srila Rupa and Sanatan and expresses how it is upon their instruction that he has written the Tattva Sundarabha, the Shata Sundarabha, headed by Tattva Sundarabha, which delineates the subject of tattva. And he mentions here in the verse, he says, Yo vilekyatas tattvam gyapako pustikam imam. So in one sense, this is in one sense, Param Gurudev talks about this later. In one sense, we are tattvavadis. Like we're the real tattvavadis. In his commentary on this text, in his third verse of Mangalacharan, Srila Baladevi devotion also praises Rupa and Sanatan. Jiva Goswami has referred to Rupa and Sanatan with the adjective tattva gyapako, conveyors of tattva. Thus, he praises them as those who convey knowledge of the Tattva Vastu, absolute truth, which is the core tenet heralded by the Tattvavadi Sampradaya. Srila Baladev himself praises Sri Rupa and Sanatan with the words Tattvam Tattva Viduttamo. Separate that. Do Sri Rupa Sanatanam. There is no disparity here between the vandanas of Srila Jivapad and Sri Baladev. Rather, Baladev conveys his profound faith and dedication to Srila Rupa and Sanatan in his Mangalacharan shloka. Here, as it is most relevant to the topic at hand, I would like to submit a few points regarding Srila Jivapad's adherence to the guidance of the Tattvavadi Madhva. Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja writes in his Vāda book that Jiva Gosvāmī has referred to Madhvacharya as the Tattvavad Guru, and therefore not accepted him as the predecessor Acharya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. This is apparently why the Gaudiyas are being presented as separate from the Madhvas. And this is still an argument that I hear. In reality, Srila Jiva Gosvāmī held Tattvavad Guru Madhvacharya's Tattvavad, and this is being translated as realistic argumentation, as the ideal philosophical approach. And Jiva Gosvāmī took inspiration from it to title his own work, the Tattva Sandarbha, or Bhagavat Sandarbha, and invoke verses from Śrīmad Bhagavatam like Vadanti Tat Tattvavidas Tattvam as core sources of evidence supporting Tattvavad. Of the four Vaishnavacharyas, only Sri Madhva is known as the Tattvavadi. The philosophies of other acharyas contain some elements that are atattvic, unrealistic. The Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnavas are Tattvavadis. And so there's this big, because Mahaprabhu says, Tomar Sampradaya in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so then there's this discussion that, oh, the Madhvas in Udupi are Tattvavadis. We are not Tattvavadis, we're something different. So that's not actually accurate. The Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnavas are Tattvavadis. And Jiva Gosvāmī has himself established Tattvavad. He even refers to his Guru and Param Guru, Srila Rupa and Sanatan, as Tattva Gyapak Acharyas in the third verse of his Mangalacharya. The crest jewel of the Vaishnavacharya lineage, Srila Baladev, echoes that sentiment and refers to Sri Rupa and Sanatan as the topmost among those who are acquainted with Tattva. This not only reveals that, like Jivapad, Srila Baladev adheres to Madhva's guidance, but also from the statement Tattva Viduttamo, that he has expressed even more faith in Rupa and Sanatan than in Sri Madhva. The notion that, so then, yeah, because people say that, oh, Balavedibhushan was already linked to the Madhva Sampradaya, more attached to the Madhva Sampradaya, so he tried to impose this connection onto us. The notion that Gaudiya Vaishnavas are also Tattvavadis has also been stated by Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja himself in his introduction to his Vāda book on page 5. Sri Jiva Gosvāmī has established Tattvavad as described in Śrīmad Bhagavatam. So another weird inconsistency with Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja's writings. Here, Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja may say that Sri Jiva Gosvāmī has established Advitiya Tattvavad, or Advaita, or Advaya Tattvavad, through statements like Ekam Eva Advitiyam, whereas Madhva has established Dvaita Tattvavad. In the next Siddhanta, we will demonstrate how there is no difference between Madhva's Dvaita Tattvavad and the Acintya-bhedābheda Tattva of the Gaudiyas. What remains to be said here is that Madhva is unanimously accepted as a Tattvavadi, and Jiva Gosvāmī has also established Tattvavad. This is being propounded in, and Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja has said the same thing in his own book. Thus, as there is no difference of doctrine between us, the Madhvas, and the Gaudiyas, we consider both to be Tattvavadis. That being the case, to say Tattvavad Guru is to say the Guru of our Sampradaya. Since Sri Jiva Gosvāmī calls Madhvacharya the Tattvavad Guru more than once, he has referred to him as the Guru of his own Sampradaya. Yeah, so any reference to Madhvacharya's Tattvavad Guru is not something that separates us from the Madhva Sampradaya. Thus, there is no reason to think of the Gaudiya Sampradaya as separate. This much is settled. Vidyavinod's claim of disparity and the refutation thereof. On page 45 of this essay, I have referred to two of the claims Vidyavinod Mahārāja has made in his Vāda book in regard to supposed differences between the Vandanas of Śrīla Jivapāda and Śrī Baladeva Vidyabhūshana Prabhupada. In regard to the first claim, we have provided 4 reasoned rebuttals why there is no difference between the prayers of Baladeva and Jivapāda. Now we proceed to address the second claim referred to earlier, Ka, or which will later be known as B, which attempts to say that there is no difference between Śrī Jivapād's and Śrī Baladev's interpretations of the word Vriddha Vaishnava in Tattva Sundarānanda. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this reference of, or how Śrī Jiva Gosvāmī refers to Madhvacharya as Vriddha Vaishnava. This is a topic that comes up in this debate. We will show here that in Jivapad's own Sarva Sambhadini commentary and Śrīla Baladev's commentary, there is absolutely no difference between the explanations of the word Vriddha Vaishnava, which Jivapad uses in the 4th verse of his Tattva Sandarbha. Vidyavinod has made a very inappropriate attempt to impose a perception of difference between these two acharyas. We will be exposing where Vidyavinod Mahārāja's festering philosophical wounds are. The main purpose of his Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda book is to show that the Gaudiya Vaishnavas do not have the slightest connection with Śrīmad Ācārya. In trying to establish this misguided doctrine, he does not hesitate to present Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī as an Advaitavadi and claim he has no connection to Bhedavad. And so, if even a scent of Bhedavad or Dvaitavad is accepted, one will have to first embrace Śrīmad Madhvacharya's lotus feet. The thought of this is utterly intolerable to Vidyavinod Mahārāja. His heart does not even quiver in the slightest when he claims that even Śrīmad Bhagavatam is a monistic Advayavadi text. See, this is why Madhva's work, his incarnation, was so essential. Because even within a sampradaya that is so clearly Bhagavat and Acintya-bhedābheda, and following Madhva's line, someone can come in and try to turn that into an Advaitavadi line. So there needs to be a very strong, fierce answer. There needs to be the diametrical opposite of that Advaitavad there. So Vidyavinod Mahārāja's heart does not even quiver in the slightest when he claims that even Śrīmad Bhagavatam is a monistic Advayavadi text. If Śrīmad Bhagavatam is Advayavadi, then whose is this Acintya-bhedābheda Siddhanta? Who does that belong to? Where did that come from? Why did Vidyavinod even title his book Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda? In the introduction to this Vāda book, he has written without hesitation, without the slightest doubt in his heart, Advaita Tattva Monism is the subject of Śrīmad Bhagavatam. It does not promote Dvaita or Bhedabhava. These sorts of ideas have entered his head as a result of his animosity to his own guru. In order to solidify this concocted idea, he has tried to define even Śrī Baladev as a Bhedavadi or Dvaitavadi. He has tried to say that Śrī Baladev Prabhu is a Bhedavadi following Madhva, and Śrī Jivapāda is not a Bhedavadi, but an Abhedavadi. Thus, he tries to establish that Baladev has no connection to Śrī Jivapāda. And even today, anyone who wants to try to throw stones, I'd say little pebbles, at our tradition, they go to Sundarananda's arguments. Because for some reason, they think he's this really accomplished scholar. But when you actually start looking closely and studying his writing, it falls apart at the seams. So many inconsistencies and deceptions within his writing. And that anyone with any bit of integrity, or actually wanting to seek, someone who's actually looking for the truth and not just looking to attack the sampradaya, you can't accept what he's writing. So in this way he tries to establish Baladev has no connection to Sri Jiva. This kind of blasphemy is only possible for antagonists of our spiritual tradition, like Kalapahar. Kalapahar became so enamored with the woman that he gave up Hindu dharma and adopted Yavana dharma. Then to uproot that Hindu dharma, he launched a campaign of unspeakably wicked crimes and atrocities, the likes of which India had never seen. He was even worse than some of the Muslim invaders. There was no evil that he did not perpetrate, and the ghastliness of his crimes still make India's historians tremble. I believe he was the one who stole the deities of Lord Jagannath from the temple and burnt them. Also,
wow.
Point. Vidyavinod's overseer or operator, Vasudeva, will reap and is surely reaping the venomous results of these kinds of offenses, which are the worst kinds. So it's interesting, Param Gurudev actually holds Ananta Vasudeva responsible for all of this. As if Vidyavinod is not intelligent enough to orchestrate it. Even at present, these individuals are leading their lives in an utterly detestable fashion, incurring unprecedented derision from the religious community. Just as Kalapahar could not bear to hear the word Hindu, Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja has, like Kalapahar, given up his own tradition, the Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and cannot bear to hear the names of these Acharyas. He does not even mention the name of his own exalted Gurudev, a liberated personality, revered amongst all the Acharyas that have appeared to date, the topmost Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya, worshipped by the Gosvāmī lineage, Paramahansa Kulachudamani, Om Vishnubhad Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī. What to speak of mentioning the name of his former guru, he cannot tolerate even hearing it. So what is surprising about the fact that, okay, I got to rewrite this. So what is surprising about the fact that hearing the name Ananda Tirtha would be objectionable to him? It is likely that the acidity in his body, the pitta, will be agitated if he hears this name, and that his mind will become utterly disturbed. Jai Śrīmad Acārya ki jai. The crest jewel of Acharyas, the one protector of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, Sri Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushan Prabhupada mentioned Sri Śrīmad Ananda Tirtha Madhvacharya's name in the second verse of invocation to his commentary on Tattva Sandarbha. It is this reference to Madhvacharya that is the root of all the supposed difference between Sri Baladeva and Sri Jivapad. Madhvacharya's name is the wound afflicting Vidyavinod. Below we provide Baladeva Prabhupada's second verse of invocation for the readers to peruse. Mayavadam yastamastomam uchirnasham ninniveda bhagam shujala. Bhaktir Vishnu darshita yena loke jyatso yam bhanur ananda tirtha. Translation: Ananda Tirtha, who is a veritable sun, has totally eradicated the darkness of Mayavad with the rays of Vedic knowledge. Thus, he manifested Vishnu Bhakti to the world. Sri Baladev has thus glorified Śrīmad Vacharya. It is the mention of the name Ananda Tirtha that Sundarananda interprets as the reason for the differences he perceives. Can he prove that this reference of Baladeva Vidyabhushan is unbefitting or a lie? In his third verse of his invocation, Baladev refers to Srila Rupa and Sanatan as suns destroying the darkness of Mayavad as well. He even refers to Srila Jivapad in a similar manner of praise. If this sort of fathomless conviction in the previous Goswāmīs, expressed by Baladev in his description of them as the topmost acharyas and destroyers of the Saṅkhya-dvaitavadis, so the Saṅkhya-dvaitavadis, the Madhva is a dualist, but the Saṅkhya-dvaitavadis are atheistic dualists, and the Vivartavadis, the Mayavadis, if this glorification is considered antithetical to the conceptions of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, then what kind of statements are we to take as favorable to the Sampradaya? If Acharya Baladev Vidyabhushan's name were to be struck from the list of Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, then whom are we to refer to as an Acharya? It was Sri Baladev who defended the honor of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya at Galtagadi and Jaipur. Baladev was sent there by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti. This is accepted by everyone. No one has the right to undermine the significance of this historical incident. Yeah, this is... Baladev was Shikshita, taught by Srila Vishwanath's Shiksha and Dikshit, initiated by in his Diksha, delivery of divine knowledge. That is how and why Baladev was sent by him to defeat the members of the Sri Sampradaya in Galta. Does this not prove that Vishwanath Chakravarti was the one who inspired him to prove that the Gaudiya Vaishnavas are followers of Madhva? This is a good argument too. It's like in trying to, there's this kind of attempt to kind of blacklist Baladev Vidyabhushan as being the only one responsible for connecting us to the Madhva Sampradaya. But the incident in Jaipur, the fact Baladev Vidyabhushan was sent there, proves Vishnu Thakur's involvement in that. And I suppose you can argue against that somehow. Another disciple initiated by Srila Vishnu Thakur, Sri Krishnadev Sarvabhauma, accompanied Baladev as well. Chakravarti Thakur sent Srila Sri Krishnadev to aid and assist Sri Baladev in the debate. Baladev Prabhu was the most prominent disciple of Srila Chakravarti Thakur. There is no difference of opinion in this regard. And Baladev studied Śrīmad Bhagavatam from him. Srila Chakravarti Thakur would have personally been present at this Sampradayic debate that arose in Galta had he not been extremely elderly and physically incapacitated. Here we have to consider what arguments he would have presented the Ramanuja Sampradaya with if he had been there himself. Has Vidyāvinod Mahārāja thought about this? What we mean to say is that Chakravarti Thakur would have established the same conclusions that Baladev did. Perhaps in that case, Vidyāvinod would have booted Chakravarti Thakur out of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya as well. We find essays by 4 different exalted personalities of the immaculate character, personalities of immaculate character regarding Sri Baladev's life history. Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinod, Jayaguru and Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the late Atula Chandra Gosvāmī, and Śrīmad Vishvambharananda Dev Goswami Prabhu, the Acharya of the Shyamananda Vaishnavas in Gopi Vallabhpur. Acharya Baladev was a prominent Acharya of the Shyamananda branch of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. There is no proof that Baladev was previously an Acharya or initiated disciple in the Madhva Sampradaya. No one has provided any proper evidence in that regard except for some hearsay and concocted information. The accounts of him being a Madhva sannyasi have always been eyed with doubt. There's a narrative of him studying Vedanta first and then going to Udupi and supposedly becoming a sannyasi there, but there's no, there isn't a lot of evidence. It's kind of just hearsay. In the Ka, or in the B section of his Vāda book, Vidyāvinod has cast aspersions on what Baladev Vidyabhushan has written in his commentary on Srila Jiva Goswami's use of Vriddha Vaishnava in his Vandana, and thus referred to a difference of opinion between the 2 acharyas. Below we quote Srila Jivapad's Vandana verse along with Baladev's commentary. Kopitat bandhava bhatto dakshina dvijavangshaja vivichya vyalikhad grantham likithad vriddha vaishnavai. So that's Jiva Goswami's Bandhana verse. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary is as follows. Granthasya puratanatvam swa parishkritatvam chaha kopi tad bandhavastaya rupa sanataniyo bandhu gopala bhatta ityartha. Vidyāvinod Mahārāja has no qualms with this portion of the commentary. He only takes issue with the explanation of the word Vriddha Vaishnava. That portion is as follows. So I'm going to have to provide translations for this. I think when I was first translating this, I was in a rush to get it all out, but I didn't give translations of these.
That portion is as follows. So this is the explanation of Vriddha Vaishnava. Vriddha Vaishnava Śrīmad Vādidhir Likitat Grantha Tam Vivichya Avicārya Saram Grihitva Grantham Imam Vyalikhat. The gist of these two sections of commentary is, okay, so Param Guru is providing the translation. The subject of Srila Jivapada's Sandarbhas is not a new one, but rather a very ancient one. In other words, it deals with the subject of the Vedas and Vedanta. This book called Shat Sandarbha has been written from a thorough study of a book written by Rupa and Sanatan's bosom friend, the South Indian-born Brahmin Shri Gopal Bhatta, as well as from in-depth examinations of the philosophies presented by ancient senior Vaishnavas like Śrīmad Madhvacharya. I'm happy Manas Goswami is here today to hear glorifications of Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami. The cause for objection here is that somehow there has been a grievous impropriety committed by defining the word Vriddha Vaishnava as a reference to Sri Madhva, among other Vaishnavas of past ages. Apparently, Madhvacharya's name should have been omitted here. According to Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja, Baladev Vidyabhushan was a disciple of the Madhva Sampradaya. That is why he has defined this word like this, unjustly trying to force the Gaudiya Vaishnavas into Madhvacharya's Sampradaya. In reality, there is no sign of Srila Jivapada having any sort of intention like this in his Tattva Sandarbha. What? Okay, that's a mistake. We are very surprised by these assumptions. Has Sundarānanda not seen Jiva Goswami's Sarva Sambhadini? Sarva Sambhadini is the most excellent text that serves as a commentary to the Tattva Bhagavat Paramatma and Krishna Sandarbhas. In Sarva Sambhadini, Sri Jivapada clearly mentions Madhvacharya's name in his explanation of the word Vriddha Vaishnava, as used in the Gopitadbhandavo verse. An exalted personality like Srila Jiva Goswami could envision the future and already anticipated that heretical, demoniac individuals would delude the world with various misinterpretations of the word Vriddha Vaishnava. We provide below for the readers the interpretation he himself has given of this word in Sarva Sambhadini. The word Vriddha Vaishnava used in the verse beginning with Gopi refers to Sri Ramanujacharya, Śrīmad Madhvacharya, Sri Sridhar Swami, and others. Tattva Sandarbha has been written after thoroughly consulting their written works. The implication is that this systematic approach negates any risk of propounding concocted conclusions via this work. Here, I would like to draw the reader's full attention to what Jiva Goswami says in his commentary. They can understand from this just how deceptive Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja is, how he has misled people and committed a grave offense at the lotus feet of Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu. My personal assertion is that there is not even the slightest difference between this commentary of Srila Jivapada and that of Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan. Srila Baladev Prabhupada has made a brief comment, writing Sri Madhvadi, whereas Sri Jiva Goswami has elaborated somewhat on what is meant by the word Adi, and has therefore mentioned the name of Madhvacharya along with that of Sri Ramanuja, Sridhar Swami, and others. Are we to assume that Baladev Prabhu did not intend to indicate Ramanuja and Sridhar Swami by adding the suffix Adi to Madhva? Srila Jivapada gives special deference to Madhvacharya in his explanation of the word Vriddha Vaishnava, citing his name between the other two, like the central gem of a necklace. Ramanuj, Madhva, Sridhar. Though the names of these three are mentioned in Sarva Sambhadini, Madhvacharya's name being mentioned in the middle conveys that he is the central gem. Sridhar Swami Adi means Sridhar Swami plus Adi, and here this word Adi refers to Rupa and Sanatana. We have previously mentioned that Srila Baladev has praised Srila Rupa and Sanatana as Tattvavid Uttama, the topmost of those acquainted with Tattva. It is highly inappropriate to accuse Srila Baladev of being overly attached to Madhvacharya because he only referred to Madhva and used the word Adi instead of mentioning Ramanuja and Sridhar's names. On lines 16 and 17 of page 24 in his Vāda book, Vidyāvinod Mahārāja has written, Sri Baladeva Vidyabhushan Mahodaya's excessive eagerness to include the Gaudiya Sampradaya in the Madhva Sampradaya. We say, if Baladeva Vidyabhushan Prabhu is overly eager for anything, it is for the welfare of living entities of the world. And if Vidyāvinod Mahārāja is trying to pass off enmity of Guru and lack of character as Vaishnavaness, and is overly eager to include Baladeva Vidyabhushan Prabhu from the Gaudiya Vaishnava Guru Parampara, then that is highly inauspicious for the world. An exalted personality's eagerness to establish Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Prem Dharma throughout the world, and a degenerate's eagerness to subdue that same Prem Dharma can never be on the same platform. Even if, for argument's sake, we accept that Baladeva Prabhu was indeed overzealous in his mention of Madhvacharya's name, I will assert that this overzealousness was an expression of mercy aimed at subduing the heretics, like Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda and Ananta Vasudeva. The things he applies in his book are highly objectionable, Sundarānanda. They reveal his baseness, and above all, they are rooted in an offensive mentality. I have become compelled to refute his untouchable, unhearable, and unreadable book in order to protect the world from the clutches of this sort of Vaishnava Aparadhi. It is my fervent prayer at the lotus feet of Sri Hari Guru and Vaishnavas that even as I discuss this book with the aim of refuting it, I am not inadvertently affected by dusanga, bad association. If Vidyāvinod Mahārāja had claimed that there is a difference between Jivapad's, Srila Jivapad's commentary and that of Sri Baladeva Prabhupada, and had cited both tikas together for comparison in his book, then we would have gotten a sense of moral courage and bravery from him. But because he was overzealous in his devious purpose, he deliberately declined to present both tikas side by side. If he had done so, his attempts at deception would surely have been caught outright. This is precisely what is referred to as real jnana kalata, intellectual villainy, and pashandata, iconoclasm. The only evident difference between these two commentaries is that Srila Jivapad's is more verbose, whereas Sri Baladev's is brief, echoing Jivapad's statement in a more concise fashion with the word madhva adi. The mere mention of Madhvacharya's name is not overzealousness. Srila Jivapad refers to three ancient Vaishnavas and gives Madhvacharya's name the central spot between them, whereas Baladev mentions only that central gem of Madhvacharya's name and refers to Ramanuja and Śrīyūta Gosvāmī by the word Adi. What difference this creates between the two commentaries, we have not been able to understand. Whatever the case, here we conclude in brief our discussion of the Ka section of Vidyāvinod Mahārāja's book. And then there's this discussion of some other phrases used by Śrīla Jiva Goswami. All these arguments have been further expanded and discussed by our Haripriya Prabhu in his massive Kumat Kalana. So it was following in his guidance. These Param Gurudev lays out the foundational arguments to refute this idea that we are not connected to the Madhva Sampradaya. Where people may find room to challenge what Param Gurudev is writing has been further developed, extensively developed. So before anybody tries to shoot holes in any of this. The objection Vidyāvinod, so this is about Swasampradaya Sahasradireva and Sangsara Arnavatarani. So these are two references from one from Baladeva Vidyabhushan, one from Jiva Goswami. The objection Vidyāvinod Mahārāja raises in the next section, God, is something that causes us rather uncontrollable laughter. I have quoted his objection below. So this is Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda writing. At the beginning of Sarva Sambhadini, Shri Jivapad has referred to Shri Gaurahari as Swasampradaya Sahasradidaiva. Shri Baladev, in his Govinda Bhashya commentary, and in the Mangalacharan to Prameya Ratnavali, has referred to Shri Ananda Tirtha as Samsararnavatarani, and deemed Shri Gaurahari to be a member of the Madhva Sampradaya. So, okay, those terms will be defined further later on. Here, Sundarananda intends to demonstrate the difference between Srila Jivapad's usage of Swa Sampradaya Sahasradi Daiva and Shri Baladev's Samsararnavatarani. In this sort of difference, if this sort of difference determined the separation of Mata or Sampradaya, it would be impossible to establish any sort of similarity or shared identity between Acharyas and their disciples and grand disciples. The scholars of the inimical Advaitavadi lineage are even trying to find disparity between the teachings of Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Kaviraj Goswami. Not only that, members of the Sahajiya faction like Haridas Babaji and Ananta Vasudev have found differences between Sri Rupa Goswami and Sri Jiva Goswami. It is among scholars like the author of this Vada book that such heretical notions crop up, like thinking Jiva Goswami, who was Sri Rupapad's devout disciple, became a Swakiyavadi and established a doctrine opposed to that of Sri Rupa Goswami. Even so, in his Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda book, Sundarānanda has not determined that Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Kaviraj Goswami and others belong to different sampradayas. Even though there are unique specialities, Vaishishta, to their mats or points of view, there is no bhed, no substantive or polarizing difference that separates them. Bhed and Vaishishta are not the same thing. This is a really important point. Bhed and Vaishishta is a difference. There's a big difference between, no substantive or polarizing difference that separates them. Vaishishta is there may be a unique speciality. Each Acharya may have his own special take or refinement. Here, the other point to be discussed is Srila Jivapad's reference to Srimad Mahaprabhu Gaur Sundar as Swasampradaya Sahasradi Deva in Sarva Sambhadini. Here, Srila Jivapad means to reveal Mahaprabhu's glories. So, Swasampradaya Sahasradi Deva, that he's the presiding deity, the Adi Deva of Swasampradaya Sahasra. So, thousands of his own sampradayas. This can be interpreted in a couple of different ways. So people try to say that, oh, this means that Mahaprabhu started his own tradition, and so you can also start your own sampradaya. Here, Sri Jivapad means to reveal Mahaprabhu's glories. If Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan had in any way diminished what Jivapad had written about Srimad Mahaprabhu's glories, then it would have been fitting to say there is some difference between Jivapad and Baladev. But here, Baladev chose to glorify Sevak Tattva, the Bhagavad Bhakta Srimad Ananda Tirtha, with his use of the word Samsararnavatarani. There really is no context to bring up the issue of disparity between the two acharyas. We are more than ready to insist with great intensity that nowhere has Sri Baladev glorified Mahaprabhu in a way that is less than Sri Jiva Goswami's glorifications. Rather, in many places, Baladev ascribes an even greater degree of glory to Mahaprabhu. We can show this from the Mangalacharan verse of Govinda Bhashya mentioned by Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja. He has chosen not to bring this to his readers' attention. In his Prarambhika Bhakya, in the fourth Anuched of his Vada book, on page 241, he says, if you compare Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan Mahodaya's overzealousness with Sri Jivapad's train of thought side by side, you can get a sense of the real history. Though he says this, he does not actually show any statements made by Jivapad next to those of Baladev Vidyabhushan. If he had shown their actual statements next to each other, he would not have been able to present such a deceptive text to society. Bravo to his audacity. Bravo to his cunning style of writing. So it's very clear that Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda, he makes these really bold, broad claims. And then he's not even consistent with his own claims. He says, if we would look at these things side by side, then we could tell. And then he doesn't The next logical, obvious thing to do would be to show a comparison of those statements and then prove your point. He doesn't do that. So this is some sort of like the way he's writing is just more of a propaganda. It's not actually, he hasn't been able to actually found it properly. Below we have cited the Mangalacharan verse Sri Baladev wrote about Srimad Mahaprabhu in his Sukshmatika on Govinda Bhashya. Gajapatir Anukampa Sampada Yasya Sadhya Samajani Niravadya Sandram Anandam Richan Nivasatu Mama Tasmin Krishna Chaitanya Rupe Matirati Madurimna Dipyamane Muraro. May my mind dwell upon that Krishna Chaitanya Murari, who is refulgent with the utmost sweetness. By the wealth of his mercy, Gajapati Srila Pratapa Rudra has obtained the form of profound bliss, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, and thus obtained the perfection of life. Besides Pramya Ratnavali, Sri Baladev Prabhu has used this shlok as the second verse of his Mangalacharan to Siddhanta Ratna. Here, he has described Sriman Mahaprabhu as Krishna Chaitanya, who is Murari Sri Hari himself, and who is refulgent with the utmost sweetness. If we compare this statement to Srila Jivapad Swasa Sampradaya Adidaiva, the sweetness of Sri Baladev's statement is evident. Even though Srila Jiva Goswami describes Sriman Mahaprabhu with the following Mangalacharan in Sarva Sambhadini: Durlabha Prema Piyushmaya Ganga Prabhaha Sahasram Swasampradaya Sahasradidevam Shri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Deva Namanam Shri Bhagavantam. Here, we submit to the readers that there really is no difference between the prayers of Sri Baladev Vidibhushan and those of Srila Jiva Goswami. Both have in the same tone praised Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Bhagavan himself. Sri Jivapad, at the start of Sarva Sambhadini, was commencing a discussion of Sriman Mahaprabhu's tattva. Even though this is not Sri Baladev Vidibhushan's topic at the start of Govinda Bhashya, he sings the praises of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, albeit arguably incidentally. Rasik Mohan Vidyabhushan Mahashaya has translated Swasampradaya Sahasradideva as the supreme presiding deity of his own sampradaya. So there's a couple different interpretations of this line. The author of this Vad book translates it as the eternal presiding deity of thousands and thousands of sampradayas he has founded. Here we need to compare the translation of revered scholar Rasik Vidyabhushan and that of Sundarānanda. In any case, without getting into further analysis, if we accept both translations, there is still not the slightest detectable difference between the statements made by Baladev Vidibhushan and Jivapad. Besides, it is difficult to understand what Vidyavinoda means by saying Sriman Mahaprabhu is the presiding deity of thousands and thousands of sampradayas that he has founded. There is only one sampradaya founded by Mahaprabhu, which we know as the pure Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. But if Sundarānanda has himself become part of the Sahajiya faction and wants to establish these Sahajiyas as comprising a lineage that is part of Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya, he can do so. We know well that nowadays there are many Apasampradayas, bogus lineages, spreading all over India in Mahaprabhu's name. Of them, we see that the 13 Apasampradayas identified by Siddhatottaram Babaji Maharaj have been around for over 200 years. The sonnet he composed in this regard is as follows. Aula baula kartavaja nira darabesha sai sahajiya sakibeki smarta jat gosai ati bari chudalari gauranga nagari tota kahe e terar sanga nahi kare. Besides these, there are many new Apasampradayas cropping up. Kishori Bhaja, Bhajan Khaja, Koto Boli Hai, this is Param Gurudev's own verse. Guru Bhogi, Guru Tyagi, Arje Bhairai, Asima Tyaja, Pranati Maja, Ar Basudevi Khala, Dari Sanyasi, Shishya Virasi, Guru Prasadi Dalam, Upanayan Tyaja, Paramahansa Saja, Sankar Varanajata, Asad Sanga, Dvipada Bhanga, Seva Paraditata, Ramadas, Haridas, Hari Boliya Mata, Nitai Radha Gaura Shyam Barni Bhavakota Sita Ramya Rama Shyamya Radha Shyamyam Saudir Dalar Ghar Pagala Grihi Baula Sabachini Utha Bhar Varna Viragi Ashrama Rodhi Gairika Bodhi Virodhi Shanda Dhama Paradi Nama Paradi Vaishnava Paradi Bhanda Advayavadi Madhva Virodhi Ei Sava Pashanda Kanupriya Nath Bhaya. It's referring to Kanupriya Gosvāmī and Radha Govindanath. Akala Kushmanda Gaureshwara Vamshidhara Ulai Chandivada Smaranapanti Adhumanti Yugala Bhajana Sadha. He keeps going. Dada Oma Khepa Bama Arjat Apasampradaya Desh Videshi Sadurveshi Guriche Piriche Hai. So Brahmagurudev's listing 39 other Apasampradayas that he recognizes. And I've been trying to ascertain who they all are. I need to provide proper translations to this, but it's actually hard to tell exactly who he's referring to. Unless I find some other, I think I need to study his full Prabandhavali fully, and then I might be able to discern who's who.
And a lot of them were just very broad, like Dhammaparadi and Guru
Yeah.
Bhakti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at present, with Tota Babaji's 13 Apasampradayas and 39 new ones, there is a new total of 52 Apasampradayas that have become rather prominent. And if he was around today, who knows what the number would be that he would put. Still, we cannot find thousands and thousands of Sampradayas. Some interpret the word Sampradaya to refer to all the disciples in the Sampradaya and their respective disciplic successions. So that's one interpretation, that Mahaprabhu is this presiding deity of this tradition that has many branches, many disciples, and each disciple kind of creates their own branch. Makes sense? This to us seems the most fitting interpretation. In that case, Srimad Mahaprabhu is understood to be the presiding deity only of the Sampradaya following his direct guidance. Thus, referring to Srimad Mahaprabhu as Svasampradaya Sahasradi Daiva takes on a somewhat restricted support. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all incarnations, and Murari Krishna himself. Kehamani Kehonamani Savataradas, all are his servants, though some accept the fact and some do not. Therefore, to think Sri Baladev Vibhushan's hymn is different from Srila Jiva Goswami's, and to present it as less than, is mired in aparad. Still, Subodha Babu's objection may be that Baladev was wrong to describe Sri Gaurahari as a descendant of the Madhva Sampradaya. We will present an extensive response to this in sections Gha and Inya. Okay, I need to get a drink of water. I'm surprised that any of you are still here. It's very dense. It's very dense subject matter. But anybody who's interested in the topic, there's very good arguments in here.
There are 8 people on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Congratulations, you guys. You guys are real veteran.
This is page 142 of 272. So we're past halfway.
We're past halfway?
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Let's see where. Okay. Yeah. Well, so we're okay. We're almost at the end of the fourth Siddhanta, the 4th chapter. Oh, okay. We made good progress. Okay. So Mahaprabhu is Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Chandra himself. On this point, there is no difference of opinion. To think that Swayam Bhagavan cannot perform a pastime of accepting diksha or shiksha from anyone is some newfangled notion. Sri Ramachandra sought guidance from Vashishta. Krishna Chandra took Sandipani Muni as guru. and Śrīmad Mahaprabhu received Shiksha from Ishvara Puri. Doing so did not impair their Bhagavata, their godhood, at all. Swayam Bhagavan engages in such pastimes for the benefit of the living entities. Therefore, being part of a certain sampradaya does not do anything to Mahaprabhu's Bhagavata or his tattva. Besides this, in his Mangalacharya to his Tika on his Vedanta Bhashya, Sri Baladev outlines the Guru Parampara or Sampradaya and writes the following in relation to Śrīmad Mahaprabhu. Shri Krishna Prem Dhanena Yena Nistaritam Jagat. He who has delivered the world by bestowing divine love for Krishna, Shri Krishna. By this, Baladev has described Śrīmad Mahaprabhu as the bestower of Krishna Prem. Regarding Madhvacharya, he has said, I think, oh, you have this in the songbook now, I think, right? Ananda Tirtha Nama Sukamaya Dhama Yatirjayat Sangsararnavataranam Yamiha Jana Kirtayanti Buddha. This refers to Madhvacharya as the boat to ferry souls across the ocean of material existence. One personality is the bestower of Krishna Prem, the other is the deliverer of souls from samsara. Whom will Vidyāvinod Mahārāja deem as superior? The bestowal of Prem is infinitely superior to deliverance from samsara. This is something every Gaudiya Vaishnava will accept. What Srila Kaviraj Goswāmī has written regarding the difference in the results to be reaped from mantra and mahamantra deserves our careful perusal. So Param Gurudev is going into this in such depth because there's this argument that somehow Baladevi Vibhushan heralded, praised Madhvacharya above Mahaprabhu in some way and tried to impose the Madhva Sampradaya onto the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya and thereby somehow diminishing Mahaprabhu. That being connected to the Madhva Sampradaya, that following a tradition, one of these four traditions, somehow diminishes Mahaprabhu's status. This is very immature kind of conception. So Kaviraj Goswāmī writes, Krishna mantra hoite hoy sangsara mochan, Krishna nam hoite bhai Krishnera charan. Krishna's name is the Mahamantra, whereby one attains the lotus feet of Krishna and Krishna Prem. Whereas the Krishna mantra, the Gayatri mantras, they are there to sever our connection from samsara. Srila Baladev Prabhu has described Śrīmad Mahaprabhu as greater than Madhvacharya with his statement, Shri Krishna Premadhanena Nena Nistaritam Jagat. Madhvacharya has been entrusted with the responsibility of samsara mochan, which is the function of mantra. That makes sense. He's passing the mantra down in the sampradaya. This does not convey Madhvacharya as superior to Śrīmad Mahaprabhu. Even though Bhagavan himself has said, Mad Bhakta Pujabhyadika, the worship of my devotee is greater than worship of me, that does not hamper his Bhagavata. Rather, it multiplies his sweetness to infinity. Shri Krishna himself has said, the servant of the devotee is a devotee, the servant of Ishvar is not. Ye me bhakta jana partha nami bhaktas chate jana mad bhaktan cha ye bhaktas te me bhakta tamamata. Krishna is saying to Arjuna, O Partha, all those devotees who worship me directly are not really my devotees, but those who worship my devotees are the topmost of all devotees. Bhagavan is subservient to his devotees. This is the foremost conception of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. This highlights the glory of Bhagavan more than anything. And with that, on that sweet note, Param Gurudev concludes the 4th chapter. So the next is the 5th chapter, goes deeper into, as we see here, the reason the Gaudiyas follow Madhvacharya. Then he starts laying out with direct quotations from Tattva Sandarbha, Jiva Goswāmī. Basically, everything that he's introduced to us in this 4th chapter, he goes into in more detail. And then I actually think he intended this book to be longer, or these articles to be a longer series. But at some point, he kind of winds things up and ends on a rather sweet note. And this may have something to do with
Sundarananda Ananta Vasudev passed away in this was in 1958 that these articles were coming out, and so he actually passed away before these articles were completed, and then after that Param Gurudev wraps them up. Oh yeah, there's a discussion about Vishesh. So anybody who's gone into the differences between our philosophy, between Acintya-bhedāveda and the Madhva, Dvaitavad, be familiar with this. The word Vishesh is very crucial, understanding what that means. So yeah, it's a very, very technical, very dense discussion next, but it ends on a very beautiful note. And it's talking about the connection, special connection that we have with the Madhva Sampradaya related to Murari Gupta, Srivas Thakur, and also the worship of Ram, Sita, and Lakshman, and how that is very important and unique to us, and connected to the Mahaprabhu's form as Sharbhuj, where he has the arms of Ram, Krishna, and Mahaprabhu. So I'm feeling like we've gone on too long and we should end here and save this for another day.
Sure, yeah.
Because I think otherwise my own attention span and energy, and yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very dense. So yeah, it's
Very,
good.
very dense.
Alright, Jai Param Gurudev ki Jai. Acharya
Jai.
Kesarī.
Jai.
Acharya Singh. Yeah. All right. Manas Goswami, would you like to just sing like a 2-minute Mahamantra?
2-minute Mahamantra.
Yeah, just like a little thing to wrap it up, and then you guys. If it's not possible, no pressure, but you wouldn't mind to.
Okay. I'll do it. Let me
Okay,
turn on my
great.
Tanpura. Let me turn on my thumb quickly.
And while we're waiting, there's lots of devotees, lots of comments. Yeah, I'm surprised so many devotees stayed.
Yeah, there's a really nice discussion coming up about Murari Gupta, because if Murari Gupta, so if this thing about Matabhed, if it's so easy to separate us from Madhvacharya, then we should be able to cut out people like Murari Gupta and say that he was not a goat, right? Because he could not follow Mahaprabhu's teaching of worshipping Krishna, right? Because he couldn't leave the lotus feet of Ram. So what Param Gurudev ends up establishing quite nicely is actually how inclusive the Gaudiya Sampradaya is, of different moods, different Ishtadevs even, or different forms of the same Ishtadev.
Okay, Manas, are you
Yes.
ready? Okay, great.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for this. It's good for me also that how strong our acharyas are and how precise they are in our sampradaya.
Yeah,
Keeping, yes, and very advanced. I mean, it's advanced for me, but
for me also, I think for all of us.
Oh yeah, it's
Yes.
Thank you. It's morning time, so I would go with Ahir Bhairav. Ahir Bhairav is the rag in the morning time that, then Krishna is waking up and gopis are waking him up and he's leaving the kunj. So it's little bit of sadness in there, add towards bhakti mood as well.
Very neat.
Re re na re na re na re na. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now when Krishna leaves the Kunj, and then in the morning time, usually this is the raga, like this is the Thaat, Bhairav Thaat, and then Bhairav has all of the other rag, Ahir Bhairav, Nat Bhairav, different Bhairav. So this is one of them. That's all.
That is beautiful. Sometime we'll have to do I'm not sure if you'd ever be up to doing this, but sometimes it'd be really nice if you could explain all the nuances of different rags of different times of the day, and
Yes, it will be really
maybe we
nice.
could do a special program just for that, because this is like exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, it's weird how this little bit of like sadness in the morning, but I feel that there's like this mid-morning doldrum, like it's a type of time of day that I don't particularly like.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yes, for sure. It's like the time when sun, sun is just touching the grass with like little bit fog on it, little bit mist on it,
Okay.
like re na re re. You see, the first part is a little bit sad. Sa re re ga ma ga re sa, and then little bit of bhakti and happiness over there. Re ga ma pa dha ni da pa ga ma pa da ni re sa ni da pa ga ma re sa. Sorry. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, it's
Oh my
it's
God, it gives me like chills.
like you're cooking, like adding different spices and flavors.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll have to do a special program sometime with you, Manas.
Yeah, let's do it.
explain.
Let's do it.
That'd be really great.
Love that.
Srivas, could you do Jaidwani? And then
Sure.
we'll
Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Jiu Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupa Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupa Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahārāja Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupa Ācārya Kesarī Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai. Jai Saparshad Jagaguru Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Shri Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shri Gosvāmī Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Prem Sikho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Tribhuvana Mangal Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Śrīmad Acārya Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Online Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Shrinitaya Gaura Premanande Hari Hari.
Hari.
Thank you, Madhukarji, Manas Goswami. Thank you so much.
And Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji. Pranams. And let's see who else is here on YouTube and Facebook. Hari Priya Didi, Pradyumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Vidyalalasa Didi. Connecting people through wrestling. Hari Bol. Aloha. Vrinda Didi, Bangsiwala Prabhu, Shash Sharmaji, and all the other devotees watching, maybe Indira Mataji and Raseshwari Mataji, and all devotees watching in the future. Dandavat Pranams. Tomorrow is the 151st Vyas Puja of Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. So I'm not sure, Srivas, do you have any?
I'm trying to launch the Dainik Nadia Prakash page on my website.
Okay.
But that's not like, there's not like direct glorifications of Srila Prabhupada in there. So maybe we leave that for another day. But I was thinking we could start up again with the Dainik Nadia Prakash readings soon.
I'd love that. Yeah. Okay. I mean, everybody would love that. So cool. That's exciting. Yeah. And so if there isn't a special thing that you have to read, then I can just find, different glorifications of our acharyas to read tomorrow. And then I guess we'll continue.
I'll join in. Yeah.
Okay. And then we will continue on with this Acintya-bhedābheda reading, I guess the day after tomorrow. Yeah? Okay, cool. Dandavat Pranams, everybody. Pranams, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji. Okay, see you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe. And Hari Bol Manas Goswami.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Jai
Thank you.
Radharaman.